107.7 FM, Olojudo's Palace, Ido-Ekiti. In the news, President Tinubu commissions NNPC Hell Shahara's joint venture vessel in South Korea. Sudan restructures military as political turmoil continues. Ukrainian leader ready to meet Putin after guaranteed security. Details of these and other stories in a moment. I'm Jemima Fateye. Now the news. President Bola Tinubu has commissioned a 40,000 cubic meters CBM liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) vessel owned by WAGL Energy Limited and NNPC Limited Sahara Group JV in Ulsan, South Korea. The president, who was represented by Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Gas Ekperikpe Ekpo, commended WAGL Energy Limited, NNPC Limited and Sahara Group for their strategic foresight, technical excellence and unwavering dedication to expanding Africa's role in the global clean energy value chain. According to him, Nigeria is poised to deliver clean and sustainable energy solutions, not just in country but also across Africa and beyond. According to a statement by Sahara Group's spokesperson, Bethel Obioma, the vessel commissioning underscored Sahara Group's commitment to transforming Africa's energy landscape through investment in LPG storage and distribution infrastructure to tackle energy access, affordability and security in Africa. Security officials said troops from the elite Danab unit has raided al-Shahab hideouts in the lower Shabelle region. Reports have it that the fighting began on Sunday night and continued until Monday. The attacks also involved airstrikes on the group's position. President Hassan Mohamud has made defeating al-Shahab a key part of his agenda. However, the withdrawal of some peacekeeping forces have exposed gaps in Somali troops. Since July, Somali forces and African Union peacekeepers have intensified operations against al-Shabaab, which has waged an insurgency against the Somali government for over 16 years, regularly targeting security forces, government officials, and civilians. Sudan has launched a sweeping military reorganization to tighten its grip on the armed forces and ongoing conflict with the Rapid Support Forces (RSF). Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan issued a decree to consolidate control over all allied armed groups, including former Darfur rebels, tribal militias, Islamist brigades and civilian defense volunteers, bringing them under formal army command. Burhan also made key leadership changes within the military, appointing a new Inspector General and Air Force Chief while retaining General Muhammad Othman Al-Hussein as Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The move follows the retirement of senior officers and is seen as an effort to reinforce his control over central and eastern Sudan, even as fierce clashes continue in the west. Cyprus says that it has dispatched 1,200 metric tons of humanitarian aid for Gaza by sea via Ashdod in Israel. In a statement by Cyprus Foreign Ministry, the prescreened cargo would be transferred without additional security checks on arrival in Ashdod, and with international humanitarian organization World Central Kitchen, the final contractor and distributor. It also added that Cyprus and Malta contributed the bulk of aid, and there were contributions from organizations from the United States, Italy, the Sovereign Order of Malta, and Kuwait. Input of the United Arab Emirates to the operation was essential. According to local health authorities, who do not distinguish between fighters and civilians, Gaza has been devastated by Israel's nearly 2-year-long military assault, which has killed more than 61,000 Palestinians. The Ukrainian and Russian presidents, Starmer, who described an end to the war as crucial for the security of the UK, said the meeting marked a historic step towards peace in the war-torn region.
We all want peace. The war in Ukraine has had a huge impact, particularly on the Ukrainians who've borne the brunt of it, but it's also had an impact on Europe and on the United Kingdom. There's not a family or community that hasn't been affected. And when we talk about security, we're talking about the security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well, which is why this is such an important issue.
He also said work with the US on what the security guarantees would entail could start as soon as today, adding that security talks would continue.
This is something that's been needed for a long time, very important for the security back in the United Kingdom, as well as across wider Europe. And then secondly, moving on with the bilateral meeting and then trilateral meeting between the presidents, and the second one including President Trump. That is in order to try to get to an outcome, a peace that is lasting and that is just. And so my reassurance is to say that through serious diplomacy, through planning for these outcomes, we've managed to get two material steps forward today, which enhance the chances of peace. Of course, nothing is guaranteed.
European leaders, including a member parliament, Lisa Yasko, also praised the European strength in solidarity with Ukraine in Oval Office as an achievement that is rare to achieve while pushing for a permanent ceasefire.
Europe together with Ukraine, this is something that brought me into tears because literally there had never been so many European leaders in the Oval Office all together with Zelensky. Is doing everything possible to make the new steps to possible peace, and very hard to believe in this, but still looks like the meeting between Zelensky and Putin and Trump is going to happen. And then hard to believe. We don't want another piece of paper. We need something very tangible. We need very strict plan about what happens if Ukraine is invaded again.
Meanwhile, French President Emmanuel Macron and Starmer will co-chair a meeting of Ukraine's coalition of the willing later today, following talks in Washington. You're listening to Global Box Adamimogo 107.7 FM, transmitting live from Olojudo's Palace, Ido-Ekiti. Still to come, Ukrainian leader ready to meet Putin after guaranteed security.
Hello, good people of Ekiti State and its environment. For your private, political, family, or club meetings, and so on, of not more than 50 to 100 participants, we introduce to you Adamimogo Event Hall. Yes! Right at Olojudo's Palace, Adamimogo 107.7 FM's compound, Ido-Ekiti. Ample parking space, good security, clean environment. You also have the opportunity to book for a media publicity of your event on our fast-growing social media platforms. All these for a talk. Simply visit us at Olojudo's Palace, Ido-Ekiti, or call the following numbers for more inquiries: 0803-526-5812 or 0916-340-0878 or 0806-511-4430. You can also call 0806-380-8891. Adamimogo Event Hall. We are waiting for your patronage.
Glad to know you're still there. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel via Adamimogo 107.7 FM. For happenings around you or news inquiry, please call our newsroom on this number 0915-786-8095. Now to the rest of the bulletin. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he's ready to meet with Vladimir Putin after US President Donald Trump said the Russian president had agreed to let Ukraine have security guarantees from its allies. Zelensky, while speaking after the agreement confirmed, a date is not yet set for him to meet with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, but said he was ready for a bilateral meeting.
We just confirmed after this productive meeting with President and then with all our colleagues, with the partners, we confirmed that we are ready for a trilateral meeting. And if Russia proposed to President of the United States bilateral, and then we will see the result of bilateral, and then it can be the trilateral. So I said always, so Ukraine will never stop on the way to peace, and we are ready for any kind of formats, but on the level of leaders.
According to Trump, Putin has agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine.
The Alaska summit reinforced my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine.
A meeting between the two men could happen before the end of the month, followed by a trilateral summit which includes their U.S. counterparts. It comes after Mr. Trump hosted the Ukrainian president and a host of other European leaders at the White House on Monday, just days after he met Mr. Putin in Alaska last week. The leader of Canada's official opposition Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, has secured a return to Parliament and a chance to grill Prime Minister Mark Carney over U.S. tariffs, staging a comeback after unexpectedly losing his seat in an April election. Unofficial results from Elections Canada Today showed Poilievre had easily won a special election on Monday in the parliamentary constituency of Batu, River Crowfoot in the western Canadian province of Alberta. Poilievre, who accuses the Liberal government of botching its handling of U.S. relations, will be able to confront Carney when the House of Commons return on September 15. Recall that Carney, who took over as Prime Minister in March, secured a strong minority government in April's federal election, while Poilievre lost the Ottawa area seat he had held for 21 years. Air Canada's unionized flight attendants have ended the first strike by its cabin crew in 40 years that had upended travel plans for hundreds of thousands of passengers. The Canadian Union of Public Employees disclosed this in a Facebook post, stating that the strike has ended after an agreement with the country's largest carrier. The airline said it would gradually resume operations and a full restoration may require a week or more, while the union said it has completed mediation with the airline and its low-cost affiliate Air Canada Rouge. Recall that the flight attendants walked off the job on Saturday after contract talk with the carrier failed. Talking business, the U.S. Director of National Intelligence says the UK has withdrawn its controversial demand to access global Apple users' data if required. Tulsi Gabbard said in a post on X, the US had agreed to drop its instruction for the tech giants to provide a backdoor which would have enabled access to the protected encrypted data of American citizens and encroached on their civil liberties. However, the Home Office is yet to comment on the situation. Recall that in December, the UK issued Apple with a formal notice demanding the right to access encrypted data from its users worldwide. Talking sports, world number 3 Iga Swiatek said winning the Cincinnati Open has given her a boost of confidence before the US Open begins on Sunday. The six-time Grand Slam champion secured a dominant 7-5-6-4 victory over Italian 7th seed Jasmine Paolini to clinch a maiden title at the WTA 1000 event. Speaking after her victory, Swiatek said she is happy with the process and also to have won in straight sets.
I'm really happy that the work that I've been doing paid off, and again, Wim had to kind of convince me to play a little bit different way than I had in mind. So I'm super happy with the process that we had, and yeah, everything clicked, and I could play better and better every match of the tournament. So I'm happy that I finished with this one.
The 24-year-old Pole was in fine form throughout the week in Ohio and did not drop a set. She now heads to Flushing Meadows, looking to claim a second US Open title in the final Grand Slam of the season, having triumphed at Wimbledon last month. Just before we go on entertainment, Jasmine Sanga, who is popularly known as the Ketamine Queen, has agreed to plead guilty to supplying dose of drug that killed an American-Canadian actor, Matthew Perry, which she was charged of. The 42-year-old agreed to plead guilty to 5 federal criminal charges